my mind is made up.
Hey guys, this is Eric Kyle, publisher of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine.
And I'm David Levesque, editor of Latitudes and Attitudes, and welcome to Three Sheets, our podcast where we chill and chat with individuals making a difference in the cruising lifestyle.
Each episode, we'll dive into all things cruising related and bring you some of the most influential characters out there. So sit back, grab your favorite bottle, light them if you got them, and enjoy the adventure. Hey guys, Eric Kyle here, publisher of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine. I'm excited to invite everybody today to Three Sheets podcast where we check out some of the most fun and exciting cruisers that are out there and living the life of their dreams. So I've got David Levesque, editor of Latitudes and Attitudes here. David, how are you today, brother?
I'm good, my man. Really stoked to do this podcast. We've been chasing these cats down for a while, and you know, I mean, having a baby was apparently more important than getting our podcast out.
Ryan and Brittni with SV Sunday, we welcome you to the show. We're so glad to have you here. We're going to forgive the priority misstep and having a baby rather than doing our podcast. But we want to welcome you aboard. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. And thank you for being patient with us. It's been a roller coaster year for us.
Well, you guys have been around this game for a while. You been your channel's been around for a while. You've done an awful lot. Tell us a little bit about yourselves so our viewers and our listeners can understand a little bit more about SV Sunday.
Yeah, do you want to take it or you want me to go?
You go.
Well, I mean, Ryan and I have been together a really long time. We've been together since we were teenagers, and we have always loved adventure, but we've been living in Australia for the past 10 years, just building our lives up, setting ourselves up pretty well for our future and having a good time doing it. We did some traveling and stuff, and we were just really enjoying our lives, getting set up for our future. And then a few things kind of lined up in place that made us kind of look at our lives and go, what is something that we're missing? What would be really fun to do? And traveling more permanently kind of was the one thing that we both agreed on. And
well, we didn't really know. I've wanted to have kids for a while, and Brittni wasn't really ready yet. We got a big dog.
Yeah.
We wanted to do something crazy, so we bought a boat in Europe.
Yeah.
Had no idea how to sail. And fast forward 6 years later, I guess we're still sailing, but
we pretty much took it off thinking that we'd take a year off and do some really good traveling, but we needed something that would also accommodate having a giant dog on with us. And so sailing kind of made the most sense. And it's been an amazing roller coaster. We've loved it. We went with the plan of doing it for a year, and then we've just managed to continually stretch it out another year to where we're kind of like, well, this seems fun. Maybe we should just ride this out and see how far we go.
Yeah, still riding it out.
Brittni, I noticed that Ryan talks kind of funny, and you don't. So how did you end up in Australia and start the adventure with this guy over here? Was he visiting wherever you're from, or you were visiting where he was? How'd that happen?
Come on, mate. You know what happened.
I'd like to actually answer that question.
Oh, here we go.
And I'm going to answer that question because we have this little magazine called Latitudes and Attitudes, right?
I've heard of it.
And we had this article on you guys in issue 46.
Yeah.
And Eric's going to know what issue 46 is because it happened to be that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Adventure Cruise.
And after we basically gave Adventure Cruise almost the entire magazine, we had a few
16 pages.
We had a few pages left for Sailing Sunday. But I read in that article when I was placing it that, Ryan, you were a hockey player.
Yeah, I was back in Australia.
And you were playing with Brittni's brother?
Yes, I played against him. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Attention.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a Canadian, you're going to hang out with an ice hockey player from Australia. It just sort of fits, doesn't it?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
I'll let you pick up the story from there.
Yeah. Well, I guess I went over to play hockey when I was a kid.
a baby.
and that's
we were little.
Little, yeah. And then that's where we first met. And then
no, let's dive in a little deeper. He literally moved in with us. He moved in with my family, and we were 14 and 16 years old. Like, talk about what were our parents thinking? Like, what did they expect was going to happen?
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
But then once Brittni finished school, she moved to Australia and we lived there pretty much ever since, hey?
Yeah, off and on. We've been together almost 20 years, like community, like, it's been a long road. So we've lived everywhere. We lived in Canada for a little while. We lived in Australia majority now of our adult life, but we've been back and forth a lot.
Yeah.
So your love of travel is what kind of took off on this. David, I'm sorry, I keep on interrupting you. Your love of travel, when you guys talked about what are we going to do? We got this big dog. You guys decide, well, let's go to the Mediterranean. Let's buy a boat. And you have no sailing experience at all?
Yeah, like, I mean, originally I wanted to do a camper van type thing, but the whole idea for us is that we knew we were going to have kids soon. Yeah,
he's chatting now.
We'll introduce you to Oakley in a minute, but we knew we were going to have kids soon, and we just wanted to do something crazy. Sorry, hold on, mate.
But also, we were in Australia at the time, and traveling in Australia is beautiful, but you're limited to just that one country. And we were really interested in meeting, like, seeing new cultures, new countries. We wanted to kind of go a bit further than Australia.
And we couldn't fly, so we're just like, with a big dog, what do we do? We're like, well, this sailing thing looks pretty cheap.
Now, in retrospect, we should have got like a little purse dog that we could just tuck in a bag and take with us. It would have been a lot easier.
But yeah,
what do you got, a German Shepherd there?
Yeah, German Shepherd Husky. He looks like a wolf. He's huge.
100 pounds or so,
Not exactly a purse dog.
Yeah, exactly.
not But yeah, so like we just thought sailing would be good and that, and I worked out pretty soon, like pretty quickly, that I mean, we're in Europe with the boat because we bought it there because that was the cheapest place to buy a boat because they're half the price is what they are in Australia. But then shipping Jackson there probably made up for the rest of it.
We could have bought a better boat if we had stayed in Australia just for the cost of getting Jackson across the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, we did that, and we thought it would be something fun for a year or two and maybe make our way back to Australia, but fast forward 6 years, I guess we've only made it to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So Sunday is the name of the boat?
Yeah. Benito Oceanus 46.
Yeah, every day is meant to be Sunday. Barbecue and beers is kind of what it we've related to. Just relax and just every day Sunday. But I should have called it Monday. Every day we're fixing something and working on the boat.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
That's pretty odd. Well, I heard you say A earlier, so at least you got the Canadian dialect down right.
Yeah.
I think
He's been here long enough.
You know, I think
I don't say mate, so.
Oh, come on,
no,
mate.
Okay. I really, there's a whole lot that I want to talk to you guys about, and a whole lot of stuff, because this podcast interview has been several issues in the making from the time I first read your article when it was submitted to us. But what really caught my attention the most about you guys, and we can, talk about this a bit and then go back to some other stuff. You guys are really big into saving animals and saving lives of animals in these countries you're visiting that don't have anybody to take care of them. So please tell us about that.
Like, I've always been an animal lover since I was a kid. My parents would tell you some mortifying stories of how I'd bring little baby birds and everything, kittens, everything home. And it was a struggle for them, but now as an adult, I can do it myself and nobody can tell me not to.
Yeah, our house is always overrun with foster animals. Always.
But yeah, like Ryan and I being from Canada and Australia, we don't we don't come across this like strays as much as maybe some other countries. So we're pretty naive in going when we started traveling through the Mediterranean. And we had our dog obviously with us. So we were traveling around. I think it really started when we got through Sicily. And
it's like the first country we went to.
Yeah, Albania, Montenegro, Croatia is where it really kind of started for us. That's where we started noticing a bit of an issue over there. And at first we didn't really know what we could do to help. We just kind of witnessed it. We fed some animals as we went along to try and help a little bit. But then it really started when we were in Montenegro and we rescued a tiny little kitten off of a ravine in Kotor, Montenegro, which is a beautiful place to visit if anybody's interested. It's amazing there, but they have a huge issue with cats being overrun there. And we found this tiny little kitten who was really sick. His eyes were glued shut from infection and he couldn't even see where he was going. So it really started with him, and we rescued him, took him to the vet, paid with our own money, like just out of our pocket. And at the time we just started sailing, so we really were strict on how we were spending our money, and we just couldn't walk away from him.
I mean, I couldn't say no, but then she came down with like every day she came back with like one. I think the next time she came back with 2 cats,
Yeah,
2 kittens, you know,
and
just kept going from there. I was like, man,
it started there. He really inspired the whole rescue journey for us, and it kind of naturally progressed because we were vlogging our videos at the time, so he was part of that. The rescue was part of that vlog. And people started emailing us saying, we love that you helped that kitten. And we see you guys, it costs you guys money. We would love to send you some donations to help if you ever have that come across in a future, so you can help more animals. So it really just like snowballed from there, and naturally happened from just our viewers watching us and being inspired themselves, seeing what we did for that 1 or 2 kittens to start with. And yeah, it went from there, and then
it just kind of grew, didn't it? Like, it didn't grow crazy. It's just that the more money we got, the more we did. So
it made it easy for the next time we saw something. We didn't even have to stop and think, okay, like, do we have the funds to put this animal through vet care and surgery and like all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty incredible how it started, and such an organic thing. And then it just went from there. And as we traveled, we saw more and more in need. And then we started working with the local rescues. We realized that what we were doing on our own was helping this one animal and this, that, and the rest as we went. But then we realized working with the local rescues, we can do so much more. But also we realized through it how poorly managed government, like, how would you say it? Like the veterinary or the rescues and the vet clinics in most of these countries are totally on their own. And a lot of them do everything through their own funding, through donations, through time. Like, it's all nonprofit stuff that they're doing, and they are trying to win a losing battle, and they're kind of the forefront of that battle. And so we just started trying to support rescues and the local people doing it on the ground as well, because they're the ones that once we leave that country are still there every day trying to help as much as they can. So it's been a really cool journey, and it's been a journey for us. Like, we started small with no plan of doing it, and it just kind of went there.
Feeding animals on the street. And then I mean, we try and raise some money through our Jackson's Treats, but only when we have an animal or a rescue we're doing, then we advertise it. But then if we're doing other stuff, we try and get people to donate straight to that charity or straight to that hospital or that clinic. But
yeah, so it kind of, as in more recent times, because we haven't been able to do as much fostering or rescue work personally, we've been trying to then focus more on the organizations. And like, one of them was Carriacou Animal Hospital. They recently just this last year
got taken out by
what was it, Hurricane Beryl? In
okay.
Carriacou, and just got obliterated. And I mean, they're the only clinic on the island, and they're fully nonprofit, run by donation, and they do everything for the animals on that island. So to get them back up and running was really important, because there were so many animals that from the hurricane were further suffering. And even before that, there was a real issue with strays. Yeah. So just stuff like that, just trying to bring awareness to some of these smaller clinics on these islands and in these countries that need all the support they can get as well.
Well, Brittni, you really bring up a good point. Not many governments have a budget line item that says pet rescue or animal rescue or assist
sterilization programs. A lot of the countries we go to just don't have any sterilization programs, and also just education. Like, a lot of locals just don't realize how important it is to help control the populations, because the animals are suffering because of overpopulation most of the time. And that's nature's, unfortunately, the diseases that these animals carry are nature's way of kind of leaning out the population, which is pretty upsetting to see, especially for people like us who are used to seeing healthy, pets in people's homes on their couches that are probably dealing with just being overweight from being fed too much.
Like you see, it's hard because we film it, but you see it on TV a lot, like just all the stuff that goes through with animals and things like that. But when you see it in real life, like I never expected it to be so bad in Europe. And then went to the Caribbean, it was just like a whole nother level as well. And you're just like, oh man, like it's hard not to do anything,
Yeah. So that was totally unexpected. You guys started your cruising adventures, came home with a cat, and all of a sudden you're spending the majority of your time doing other animal rescues.
Yeah.
And we've used our boat as, a triage center and we fostered like crazy on it. People probably think we're absolutely lunatics. Like I'm sure so many people watching think we're crazy for doing it, but there's been so many times where if we didn't say yes to that animal, the likelihood is that they would just have been put back on the street and not survive. So it kind of gets to the point where, it's like, I know it's ridiculous to have 6 kittens on my boat, but the alternative is turning them away, which is heartbreaking.
I should have known though. I mean, our house is overrun with it. So it was like, it literally took 6 weeks on the boat.
Tunisia was the worst. I think at one point we had like 11 kittens and 1 puppy plus our own dog on board. And people, if you're watching this and you've seen those episodes, I know that was ridiculous.
In Tunisia.
So Ryan, your hockey career fizzled out, huh? Is that what happened? Kinda?
Yeah. I thought I was good, and then I went to Canada and realized that I wasn't.
I live in Buffalo, New York. We're right up against Canada, and I can tell you that there's a hell of a lot of great hockey players right across the ditch from us, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, they like live and breathe it, don't they?
He was good in Australia, but I don't think there was as much competition.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Play for Australia, you just got to be asked, like, you've got to, do you guys need anyone on the team? Yeah, we do. Come along.
So the hockey career fizzles out. You guys get a boat. We always ask this of the cruisers because so many people with Wi-Fi and all this kind of stuff, Starlink and everything, people can work from wherever they are in the world. A lot of people are monetizing using YouTube channels and Patreons and all this kind of stuff. You guys have day jobs, or is this pretty much your gig?
No, we've got like our whole goal was to have different multiple income streams. So we still have a place back home that we Airbnb now, and we pretty much run that online
remotely through our phones, which is nice.
Yeah, Brittni sells things online. She does a lot of art and crafts and stuff.
Which we started for a while and it was really good, but then certain countries we went to, it was really difficult to mail from. So we kind of put that on the back burner, but that was a bit of a thing we had for a while. We've always just found a way. First year Ryan went back. I went Australia back and worked for a month, which was like just worked the whole month and banked up some cash.
Yeah, I had a building company back in Australia doing kitchens and bathrooms, and Christmas is always a busy time. So that very first year we went sailing, which was a year before COVID, the whole goal was to go back and kind of like tidy up work and just work. And I went back, I think was it 6 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
I think I worked like just every day those 6 weeks, and then that kind of like kept us going too. And that was the plan originally, but then when COVID hit, I couldn't go home. So that really kind of screwed us up. And I think from there, we've just been trying to find different ways. And now we do a bit of teaching sailing and stuff in the Bahamas, which is kind of good. So that's great.
And it's with kids, which is amazing. We do it through Boy Scouts USA. And it's amazing because we teach them all about the lifestyle, not just how to sail a boat, but just everything that has to do with running a sailboat. And it's really cool and it's quite rewarding. So it's work, but it's really fun as well.
Yeah.
You might put him down.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I got Oakley here, just keeping us busy. Yeah.
Well, I noticed during this entire podcast, you introduced Oakley to everybody in the world, and we said absolutely nothing. So, hi, Oakley.
Yeah. Hey, mate, hey, buddy.
How old is he now?
3 months old. So
congratulations, you guys.
Thank you. He's a busy boy. He's keeping us on our toes, but he's been amazing.
Yeah. Next month, back at the boat, I'll teach you how to polish an anti-foul, then sail, then spearfish.
You got to start with scraping and painting the hull.
Yeah.
I would say living on a sailboat set us up really well to having a baby because it's a pretty what's the word? The lifestyle of
Yeah.
sailing a boat. It's so
well, we're
up and
used to
down with
this.
everything.
Yeah, we always laugh. Everyone's like, "Oh, get ready," and we're kind of like, "Well, what's it going to be like having a baby?" But we actually find that, you know, doing like the ocean crossings and
It's so unpredictable that having
You know,
a baby on land has been a bit of a piece of cake.
like there was a storm here the other night in the RV, and the wind was like howling, and I don't know, I slept great. It was good.
Are you guys sleeping now? I mean, 3 months. I don't think we got to. I mean, one has to feed the baby. I get it.
Yeah. No, we've done
Yeah, it's
lucky.
pretty easy, but we crossed the Atlantic. We were doing 2-3 hour night, shifts around the clock. So getting up every couple of hours to feed him's I've been set up for it already. And same with the foster animals. We've had so many kittens and puppies newborn that I bottle feed and stuff. Like I've had kittens where I'm up every hour keeping them alive. So getting up every few hours with him has been like, I can do this.
He's kind of like, he sleeps like 3 to 5 hours, doesn't he, at night? He's been pretty good.
Yeah, he's been good.
That's epic. That's
Yeah.
very good. Good job, Oakley.
Yeah.
So you guys, all right. So Brittni, your family is what, in Vancouver?
Yep. Yeah. I'm from BC, born here. Yeah. So I moved to Australia, I think the first time when I was 17. I moved in with Ryan's parents.
Awesome.
Well, hey, he was living with your parents, so might as well,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, if the grandparents want to visit you guys, they've got to come find you someplace in the world, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. We're trying to
Well-
tee up right now with Ryan's parents coming to visit us in the Bahamas for a little
Nice.
while, which will be nice. So
Oh, mate. He just threw us.
there's a bit of reality for you.
right? So the plan is right now, as I understand it, Ryan, you guys are in Vancouver. You're in a fifth wheel. You're going to be there for a while. You're going to make your way across the country, get back on the boat, which is where again?
In Georgia, just Florida, Georgia border. We got it up in the
Okay.
Bahamas.
And then you're going to hightail it over to the Bahamas. Is that the plan?
Yeah, pretty much. So
We're missing the warm weather.
Yeah.
We're ready for some sun. We're getting pale.
yeah, we're gonna leave this week. We've contacted a whole bunch of patrons that we're gonna catch up with all the way down the West Coast and across the bottom of the US. And we got a big trip organized for what, month, I reckon.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it last time, we did it in 10 days. We because it's hard with Jackson, right? We can't just fly back and forth on the boat. So it's always been, this is the first time we've actually been able to this is the first time we've left the boat together, essentially in 6 years, because with Jackson, it makes it tough. And to get him over here, we had to hire a little cargo plane because he's too big to fly with American Airlines. So we had to fly over from the Abacos in Bahamas to Florida, rent a car up to pick up a RV up in, I think it was, is up in Indiana, I think, up there, which is kind of near. Yeah, so we did that, and that was a relocation, $1 a day camper van. So we had to get from there to Washington in like 7 days. So then we beelined it across and did that, and that's how we kind of got Jackson back to here. But then when we got here, we're like, geez, we got to get him back to the boat now, and hence why we bought this thing. And
where was Oakley born?
Vancouver. Yeah, he was born here. Yeah.
Okay, so how long have you guys been there in Vancouver?
Yeah, Brittni was here earlier, and you've been here for quite a while, hey? 5 months?
I came a few months early to get my medical sorted. Sorry. I came here early to get my medical sorted to have Oakley. So Ryan was in the Bahamas at the time working. And then we got back together just in time for his arrival and in time to renovate this really quickly. And the idea was too, because we looked at renting somewhere for a few months, and the prices to rent in Vancouver are so astronomical that we thought let's buy a project RV that we can at least bring with us afterwards. Otherwise, we would have just flushed that money away and not seen it afterwards. Yeah. So at least now we have something to show for it afterwards.
Well, again, it's the dog, right? It was hard to find a place with Jackson because he's so big, and then every place was just extremely expensive.
So we've kind of established that Jackson's a real high maintenance first mate.
Yeah, he is.
It's more difficult than having a baby. At least the baby is we can take him with us everywhere.
Well, one of the things that always, I mean, one of the things that caught me about your channel the first time I found you guys, and Brittni, you wrote this article, right? It was in the
Well, we
magazine.
kind of put it together, but yeah, I tend to be the storyteller of our channel
Okay.
and
Well,
the
you
life
did a
I
great
live.
job with it. It's a well-written article. But one of the
Thank
things
you.
that caught my interest about your channel was your logo. I mean,
Yeah.
your logo is a silhouette of you two and the dog and Jackson.
Yeah.
And it's a great logo. And I'm looking at it now. You got the backwards hat on. That's pretty awesome.
Oh,
I'm wondering how you plan to incorporate Oakley into this logo.
yeah, I know.
Ryan has a funny way in the meantime that he plans on doing.
Yeah, I said to Brittni, I might just add a little stick figurine up there. Laugh, but I haven't done it yet.
The problem is right now, Oakley's like, he doesn't have long hair. He doesn't have much defining features
Yeah,
yet.
he's
So
gonna
it'll
change.
be interesting.
So I was like, let's just do a stick figure for a little while.
There you go.
Right now, be a round head.
I got something from the article I need to ask you about, and I got to put my spectacles on here to do it.
Mhm.
I love the section that you wrote called "Our Journey of Laughter," because you guys clearly are having the absolute time of your lives right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read this excerpt. Living aboard with Ryan is a perpetual adventure. From toilet mishaps to his Aussie lingo and expressions and unexpected encounters with the law. All right, let's just stop.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just going to leave the floor to you, Ryan. Explain
Yeah.
that.
No, okay. I've done nothing wrong. Absolute nothing wrong.
Sure, everybody says that, Ryan.
Yeah, yeah. It's all around.
Ask him how he ended up in the back of a cop car in Turkey.
No, I know. What happened was we needed food, and a few things led up to it, but eventually we're like, we got to go to shore. So
give a bit of preface though. We were in Turkey.
Yeah, we're in Turkey.
Sailing on our boat. It was during everything was going crazy in the world and places were locking down.
It was the had the big refugee crisis with Turkey and Greece. Yeah. And then they had the oil that, they found, I can't remember now, but there was a big political thing with oil they found in the ocean, and Greece and Turkey are about to go to war over that as well. And then COVID. And we're kind of right down the bottom near, what was it? Was it Samos? Like the little island, like right near Turkey there. And so things were in high tension, and we're in this tiny little village, and we needed food. So we go to walk down to get food, and a cop car goes by. And Brittni's, walking, I think you're walking.
I was walking in front
of me.
And they drove past me and
didn't even look at Brittni.
Because most countries we go to, and especially in the Mediterranean, they just assume I'm local. If we're in Spain, they think I'm Spanish. If we're in Greece, they think I'm Greek.
My hair's like darker now, but I mean, you see like the long blonde hair, and I'm not very tan, so pale white guy in Turkey with long blonde hair, and they just kind of stop and they're like, oh, he's not from here. And all I remember is they're like merhaba, which means hello, and I'm like merhaba, and that's really all I know. And then they started going on Turkish, and I was like, merhaba. And anyway,
you could see the look on their face, like
their face just drop, and they're just like, oh. And they put their mask on and their gloves, and they kind of get me, and they're really mad, like really mad, because I don't know who we are. We didn't have our passports on us because we're just going to the grocery store. And anyway, ended up being this big ordeal. Luckily, there was a lady who owned holiday homes in a nearby town who they called, who spoke English. And she sorted it out. And by the time she sorted it out,
well, she was able to translate for us. But up until then, they seemed really upset, and we were terrified.
Yeah.
Like, what have we done wrong?
They took us
going on?
like, I think it was it the police station or the hospital, or the hospital then police station then hospital, and we had to get all these tests done. And once we tested negative for COVID, and the lady was there to explain what was going on, then they were great, right? So that was the first time, and then the second time.
But they basically said, we're in lockdown. This is a tiny little town. You're not supposed to be here. Get back on your boat and don't step foot off again.
Yeah.
And they took us back in the cop car, but I will say they were really nice. Yeah. They waited out at the grocery store for us, let us do our grocery shopping, and then helped load the bags into the back and drove us back. And I said, this is amazing, because we were trying to figure out how we were going to cart all these groceries back to the boat.
So we filled the van up with everything.
And then our friends that we were with on another boat, they were like, do you think they'll take us too?
Yeah. So then they took them. There's 3 of us. Like in COVID times, we were stuck as a little family together for a few months, and
Yeah, it was
that was
really
amazing.
And that's how law enforcement Instacart was born, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were actually.
Yeah, it was
They said
pretty
they'd come
funny.
back and
So
get it.
you said there was a second time, Ryan. So
Yeah,
this has happened multiple times.
Yeah,
You're a
so then
multiple offender. Is that what I'm
Got
hearing
one of
here?
those faces.
Yeah. So the second time I go with we were with a group of friends. We come from Malta to Sicily, and they all get served. Like the guys all good and everything. And
We're trying to check in.
yeah, we're trying to check into Sicily. And anyway, about going. Like, yeah, long story short, I'm waiting, and they said that they're going for lunch, so I'll be back in half an hour. I was like, oh damn. So my mates will leave, and I'm sitting there waiting by myself. A few hours goes by, and I've been there from like 8 o'clock in the morning to check in, and finally they see me, and what happened? That's right. On our we didn't have Malta hadn't sent we had back then we had to get those what was it, tests done 48 hours before we leave or arrive or whatever.
COVID
and
test
COVID
to make
test.
sure we're clear, and they hadn't sent it through
Yeah,
yet.
they hadn't sent it through yet, but I didn't ask like the other guys for it, but they asked me for it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't have it. So then they took me to the police station, and I sat there in a room, and they just didn't speak English. So I couldn't figure it out with it. I'm trying. And then eventually a captain from a cruise ship came in to do to do something with the port police there. And I heard him speaking like or whatever, like they must have been talking about something in that. And I asked him for help, and he spoke English, and he explained to him. So they let me go down and download my COVID certificate to give to them, because by then, no, that's right, Call Up Malta or whatever, they sent it to us, but the dates were wrong. They had Brittni's had
the dates were flipped.
the flip, like the date and month was different on each one. So then they thought they were forged. So then they were like, well, hold on, like this isn't right. And then that was a whole thing. Anyway, that got sorted. Eventually it just got too hard, so they let me go. But then
that was like a 10-hour ordeal though.
Oh yeah, that sucked. Yeah. But it's kind of like at the time you are scared because you don't speak English, you can't communicate with them. I mean, so they don't speak English, you can't communicate with them, and you really think you're going to jail. But they're good in the end. And then the third time, I guess, it was
There we go.
I don't even remember
We only have an hour for this podcast, right?
Yeah.
How much time are you going to talk about your criminal record here?
Yeah, no, another time Italy just didn't stamp my passport, so Spain got annoyed at that, and yeah, that's another story. But
so is it worth it? Out of all of these different times you've been arrested, thrown in jail, made to wait hours upon hours upon hours, the cruising lifestyle that you're living right now, the adventures that you've gone on, the things that you've done, the whole ambiance, was it worth it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I think everyone probably goes through it at some point.
Like, well, that's what I mean. The sailing life it can be pretty unpredictable. You can go in, check into a country. We've checked into Sicily before and had no problems, and then Ryan checked in and ended up in a jail cell. Like it is what it is. It can change at the drop of a hat, but
no criminal convictions though.
But it's so incredible that it makes those kind of hectic, scary moments worthwhile. They kind of slowly fade into the background.
Yeah, every time was fun. Like every time they laughed about it afterwards. Like the guys in Turkey wanted my photograph because I looked like a famous soccer player from Turkey.
So how many years in the Mediterranean? You did a crossing, you're in the Caribbean. Walk us through that timeline.
So when we first started, we started Malta in Europe, and
we were 2.5 years through the Mediterranean.
Yeah, 2.5 years through there, or 3 seasons in the Med, and sailing around. Went up to Croatia, across Greece, Turkey. The first year we sailed through winter in Europe, and then I think that
was one of our favorite seasons. We sailed through Greece in winter, which
was incredible.
The Greek islands are some of the hottest cruising grounds, and especially for charter yachts. And we've heard it's absolutely crazy during summer. And we had planned to go through summer, but we started through a winter season on the way to Turkey. And we had some of the most famous cruising ports in Greece all to ourselves, tied onto the town walls. And we were having drinks with the locals and the police because they were bored and missing having people around, and they were like, oh, you guys are our first boat for the season kind of thing. So that was one of our favorite times,
because people don't sail in the winter in Europe because it's the weather's not nice, but like it's actually is nice, it's beautiful.
And I will say, we've talked about it. We were ready to leave the Mediterranean when we set out to cross the Atlantic. We were excited to get to the Caribbean and get into the spear fishing and the the coral reefs and stuff that you don't quite get over in the Mediterranean. But since having a few years now in the Caribbean, we're really starting to miss the Mediterranean for the amazing food, the wine, the history, like the architecture, that side of things.
Yeah, I want to go back.
Yeah, the Caribbean's absolutely beautiful and we love it there. The beaches are incredible and the diving and snorkeling and spearing's been amazing. But yeah, we're starting to appreciate the Mediterranean a lot too, with just how much there's to do on shore as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
because we did
hope
everything.
to get back there again one day.
Yeah, we did everything on the boat there. Like we didn't do a lot of travel on land back in the Med. So we were there for 3 years, and then we crossed the Atlantic back in 2021. Was it 22?
So.
22. I can't remember now. I gotta look that up. So it must have been somewhere there because we spent 3 seasons in the Caribbean. Now we just kind of started in Martinique, which is somewhat halfway up, I guess, or whatever. We went up and down and up again, and then we've gone up the east coast of the US, back down to the Caribbean again.
We'll also say we're almost 6 years cruising now. I think it'll be 6 years in May, and we've seen our fair share of pretty hectic weather, but there's been nothing that can compare to the east coast of the US. Like we have had more scary, wild weather on the east coast of the US than anywhere else in our whole sailing experience. It's wild up there.
Yeah, the east coast is tough.
So 6 years in total. You're currently down in the Florida-Georgia border, and where are you going from here? What's the plan?
Because we got some work in Bahamas again. We're going to go down there for a few months, and then that's really as far as we plan. We try
and plan like maximum 6 months in advance and just go from there because things change all the time.
Yeah,
even when we have a plan, it tends to start to shift. So
like we're going to go to Guatemala.
We would love to head down
to
Guatemala for hurricane season.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a really popular spot. So
and then we decided, I mean, we knew we were going to have a baby, but we're like, oh, we'll go to Guatemala and fly back, but it made it hard with Jackson. So then we decided to come back up to the east coast of the US. So I mean, I'm kind of thinking I'd love to go down and do a bit more down, like go to Dominican Republic down there. But now, I mean, it's getting pretty late now. What is it, January? So.
And also for us, because we have the dog, this is kind of as far as we can go in terms of the Pacific isn't really an option until Jackson's no longer with us, unfortunately, because it's so difficult to bring an animal through the Pacific. It's such remote islands that they have really strict quarantine rules. So this is kind of as far as we can go. We can bounce around the Caribbean and the US unless we want to do a transatlantic back to the Mediterranean.
Yeah, that's what I want to do, yeah.
We would love to get through the Panama Canal and go up the west coast of, like, what is it? The Puerto Vallarta side of Mexico and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we don't
There's
really
so many places we can go here still. There's a lot to explore.
The good thing about being on a boat is we just kind of plan to go to one country and then we figure it out from there. You forget how free you are when you're on the boat.
We are also, now that we're expanding our family, and also Jackson's getting older, the monohull is a bit trickier, and the boat that we have, we are toying up with the idea of upgrading to a bigger vessel or a different boat. So that might change our plans as well.
Yeah,
it'll just depend on if the right boat comes along and the right opportunity.
Gotcha. Well, you guys are up in Vancouver now. You have the fifth wheel. You're going to head on down back to Georgia. When are you starting that journey?
We're hoping this week.
Yeah, we're going to start that this week. So probably on the weekend we'll leave here. We've got everything all lined up now. We just got to get the car serviced.
The
truck. We got one of those F350s, which is massive. It's like my dream car when I was a kid.
What's the plan for the fifth? Have you named the fifth wheel, by the way?
Actually, no, but we've just been calling it our land yacht. It's just our equivalent to Sunday, but on land.
Yeah, maybe I'll call this one Monday.
Well, I'm curious, you guys, as you talk about spending 6 years out there cruising, 3 in the Med, 3 in the Caribbean, and you're hopeful to go up the West Coast or at least go back to the Mediterranean. What's been some of the highlights? What's been some of the lowlights? I mean, I'll have maybe Brittni, you can answer the highlights, and Ryan, you can tell us about the lowlights.
It's funny because we've had so many people like along the way ask us what our favorite countries we visited and favorite places we've been. And we've had a hard time nailing it down because every place we've been to has such amazing things about it, and some things, you know, so each one has kind of their downsides and stuff too. But I think the countries particularly that really stand out to us, we love Turkey. We had such an amazing experience in Turkey. The culture there was beautiful. They were really friendly people, and the food was amazing, and the cruising was incredible. Malta had a real soft spot for us, especially for Ryan. He really loves Malta, but that's where we bought our boat, so that's where our journey started. So that always
So what's
stands out to
your
us.
highlights? Like, I'd say freedom would be like having the freedom to be able to visit these places would be the
The
highlight.
highlights of our trip itself is
Yeah.
just
There's
like,
so many, it's hard to really
I would
say.
say being in the Caribbean, I love the ocean, and I wanted to be, my dream was when I was a little girl to be a marine biologist, until I realized what that actually meant to be going to school and university, which wasn't my thing. But I love the ocean. So just this snorkeling and diving in the Caribbean's been one of my biggest highlights.
Yeah, I don't really have many lowlights. I think my lowlights is like probably
I would say
going to
Tunisia.
jail in Sicily and Turkey and
I
no. No,
One, two,
no, I
three.
say
Yeah.
for you, I'd say Tunisia because we
no
just had,
lowlights. I'm doing lowlights.
yeah, no, Tunisia with the
Oh yeah.
state of the animals over there was just, it overwhelmed our experience. We loved Tunisia, but there was so much suffering on the streets with the street animals. I'm sorry to hijack your answer, but I'm gonna do
Thanks
it.
that, yeah. No, that put us down a bit. We didn't do many rescues after that, and Grenada as well was tough, wasn't it? Yeah.
So like just seeing some of the animal welfare that we've experienced, like Tunisia, like I said, was beautiful. We loved it, but there was a real dark shadow over it because everywhere we turned, there was a lot of suffering of this animals on the street that we tried to help with. And it just overwhelmed our time there. Basically, it took over anything else we were kind of
Yeah,
doing.
that'd be my low lights, I think. And like sometimes the weather that can be a bit of a low light. You know, the other coming back to the East Coast this last time I did a 3-day sail by myself across. And I remember checking the weather warning and it had their like offshore water spouts. And I was like, oh, okay, I better keep an eye out. I remember like just lifting my head and I seen 2 right there. I was like, all right, that's a low light.
And that was just recently, just before we had Oakley. And I don't know if you guys saw it in the news, but literally while he was out on the ocean doing that solo passage, that super yacht off of Sicily got hit by a water spout and sank, and a lot of people passed away.
Yeah, so she's sending me.
So I'm freaking out. I'm
articles
heavily pregnant, and Ryan messages me with the Starlink, and he goes, "Is there a weather warning for water spouts offshore?" And I Googled it, and I'm like, "Yes." And I started sending him screenshots, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" He's like, "They're out here," and then I see on the news that a super yacht just sank because of that, and I
that was scary. So yeah, that they're low lights for sure.
So some of the challenges have been the weather. You didn't mention anything about missing the 9-to-5 job. You didn't mention anything about the extreme cold weather in Vancouver or the heat in Brisbane. You didn't mention anything about, and to be lighthearted, you didn't mention anything really about family and friends. All those. It was okay. The highlights was the beauty of the water and the ocean experience, and the lowlights was the weather and getting thrown in jail.
No, like the family and friends are given. You definitely miss them always, but.
And I think what's hard with the family and friends is because we are from 2 such different countries, from so far away. Before we even went sailing, we already had a certain level of comfort or being used to being away from family and friends, because no matter where we are in the world, we're away from loved ones regardless, whether I'm in Australia or Ryan's in Canada. So we've been used to that for a long time. And now with modern technology, like we're able to keep in touch with them so much better. Whereas when we first started dating, and granted, again, like I said, it was almost 20 years ago, I used to have to walk an hour down to 7-Eleven, get a $5 phone card, scratch off the barcode, call on the house phone, and we would have an hour and a half to chat with each other on the phone before it would cut out, and we'd have to do it all over again. So like now to be able to just video chat with our families it's a game changer. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah, that definitely does make it easier.
So you feel connected. I mean, those
Yeah.
'cause that would be one of the biggest challenges I think that I would have, or my wife and I would have, would be we have 3 daughters, we have friends, we have family. We want to be able to stay connected, but at the same time, enjoy the freedom that you guys were talking about to be able to see these spectacular places, enjoy the ocean and all of its bounty. So I think that that would be a challenge.
I would say one of the biggest lows we've had as well on our sailing experiences, as we mentioned, our very first rescue we did was our little kitten in Montenegro, who we found on the side of a ravine. We ended up keeping him, which Ryan knew. That's what he said when we first started. He was like, he's not coming back to our boat because I know he's not going to leave. And that's exactly what happened. He ended up sailing with us for a few years.
That's a low. That's my low. Sorry.
And
I wasn't even thinking about
when we were in Sicily, we were there over winter, and we ended up losing. It's our kitten Finn. He was a cat. He was an adult by the time we lost him, but we never found out what happened to him. We still don't know to this day. We were just talking about it like 2 days ago. We lost him while we were at a marina, and there's a million reasons that could have happened, but we don't have any answers to that. And that's something that still like we struggle with now, just not knowing.
Yeah, I struggle. I actually do struggle with that. I didn't even think about that. The Finn. So yeah, I think it's video 100, 101 or 100 is when he went missing in Sicily.
And it was hard too, because a lot of our subscribers had been following us from the start. We're really in love with Jackson and Finn. They were like brothers, and they played all day, and they became kind of like the characters in our YouTube videos, and everybody loved watching them interact together. And Finn was a character on his own. So when we lost him, it not only was it hard for us, but the people that follow our journey were also really devastated. And we still get messages to this day about him. So that was a pretty tough one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you guys, and you guys seem like, aside from that story we just covered, you guys seem very happy.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you guys are like always happy, always enjoying life and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, our podcast has very seldom, if ever, put anybody to sleep. It looks like we did a pretty good job with Oakley.
That's what a grande bubicino does to him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have a bubicino.
A grande bubicino. I'm going to use that.
I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how to follow up a bubicino, but anyways, so let's just for our listeners and our viewers out there, and we put this podcast out on any platform you could download a podcast. It's also going to be our Lats and Ats YouTube channel. And how do people find you? Where do they look up your story and start following you?
Yeah, so Sailing Sunday on YouTube's really the best way to find us there.
So we do our like weekly vlogs on YouTube through our YouTube channel, and then we do have our Instagram, which is just Sailing Sunday as well. But that's where we do a little bit more up to date, like real time stuff. So we've posted more of our up to date stuff in real time, and then the YouTube channels follows our everyday life in our vlogs. Which
so you got to tune in every Sunday to Sailing Sunday, which actually we didn't plan it like that. It just worked out.
Well, it kind of made sense. It would be silly to put Sailing Sunday out on a Tuesday.
Yeah, what we used to at the beginning.
Kick back, grab yourself a bubicino, and watch a new video.
Yeah.
Is it uncomfortable sharing your life for the last 6 years through YouTube, through doing this channel? Is it intrusive? Is it
initially
weird thinking that people are watching our lives unfold week by week? Is it something you enjoy?
Yeah,
we tend to be chronic. Well, I tend to be a chronic oversharer as it is. So and we have control of things. There's a lot of stuff that Ryan says some funny stuff on our YouTube channel, but you should see the stuff that I cut out.
Oh, in this day and age, there's a lot. She cuts 90% out, I reckon, of what I say. But like initially, I remember thinking there's people we went to school with or just random things, and I was like,
it's almost more self-conscious thinking of people who know us personally, like before we started our YouTube channel, watching it, than people that we don't know.
But then after, I think the first few weeks, I've just never thought about it again.
We've also in our travels, we've looked back on our videos ourselves, and we're so happy we've done them. It's amazing to look back at them already. So then I think, imagine 20 years from now when he's older and he can watch our adventures and see what we were up to. Even if you look at it from that side, even if we didn't have anybody watching our videos if we didn't have subscribers. I'm so glad we still have done it because it's incredible to be able to look back on.
Yeah, we do enjoy
You'll have to get back in touch with us in 20 years when Oakley watches himself barf on a podcast.
He'll either be sailing as well, or he'll do something really like total opposite, and he'll be like a lawyer or an accountant or something in an office.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope he stays out of jail, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Don't go to Turkey, mate.
Or he's like his dad and can at least talk himself out of it.
Great.
All right, you guys, we really loved having you here today. We want to thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being on board with us for Three Sheets, the podcast. For Latitudes and Attitudes magazine, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know spending time like this is precious time, and being able to share it with us is we very much appreciate it.
Thanks,
thank you guys, and thank you for doing the article on us. You guys did such a great job, and that was interesting to see us on the shelf.
Did you get a hard copy of it? Were you able to get one?
Yeah, we
Yes,
did.
yeah.
And my mom even like went out and got a bunch of other ones as well, because she was handing them out to her friend. She was so proud. So
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, we appreciate that. Was amazing, because I thought maybe, just a column or something, and I got it, I was like, oh, wow. It was really awesome. Thanks.
Yeah,
guys.
we were wondering why the Pacific Northwest said we need another shipment.
Yeah, Brittany's mom.
We could, listen, we'd love to continue following your story. And if you've got something else you want to write for us, tell us about some more hijinks and adventures and whatever, we'd love to hear about it. Feel free to send it to us, and maybe we'll grab you guys for another podcast in the future or something like that. Okay.
That's awesome. And hopefully,
Thanks, guys.
will you guys be at the Annapolis Boat Show this year?
We will.
Yeah,
Every year.
Well, hopefully we'll catch you guys there. We're hoping to be there this year.
Yeah. I mean, obviously this last one we didn't make it to. It's the one over here, but
Sure.
we plan to
Blame
be
the baby.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks,
you,
guys.
you
Thank
too.
you.
My mind is made up. I'm gonna sail away. Latitudes and attitudes will help me find my way with my loving cup.